discovering folklore and the genre of folk tales. Family traditions, holidays, special sayings, and foods, all these are part of folklore. The word folklore was first invented in 1846 by British scholar William Toms, who wanted to give a new name to study of ancient customs and traditions. Before that, it was called antiquarian knowledge. Folklore includes songs, rhymes, myths, jokes, proverbs, and folk tales. A folk tale is passed on among many different kinds of groups, such as family members, friends, classmates, or people you work and play with. Oral folklore is one of the categories you might see in your school, family, or community. These are songs, lullabies, dance games, poetry, jokes, riddles, proverbs, myths, and special sayings. Material folklore are objects such as quilts, special kinds of jewelry, home decorations, puppets, clothing, or musical instruments. Material culture may also include foods and special family recipes. Behavioral folklore are special customs and rituals, such as throwing rice at a wedding for good luck. It includes family and local community customs and celebrations. It also includes the way you might use folklore in your own thoughts. Once, when I was 9 years old, I saw a best friend being teased by a school bully. At first, I was afraid to interfere. But then I remembered the saying, "A friend in need is a friend indeed." The proverb helped me to organize my feelings and take an action. Prior to the information age, bullying was confined to schoolyards and neighborhoods. Now, the cyber-bullied child is taunted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Do you ever hear or remember proverbs in this way? Then you are using behavioral folklore. Be kind online. Folklore can be found all around us. Folk is defined as any group of people whatsoever who share at least one common factor. Every person at a given time in his or her life is part of not one but many groups around us. When you tell ghost stories around a campfire, you are learning and passing on your own kind of folklore, children's lore. Games children play in a neighborhood playground like hide and seek, hopscotch, jump rope chants, or deciding who is it for freeze tag by counting out, All of these are part of children's lore, which exists all over the world. You can look for different types of folklore in your family. Many families have their own stories, which are passed down from grandparents to children and grandchildren. These stories might have to do with how the families came to live in the United States or other parts of the world. Some families like to remember a certain relative by telling stories about him or her. Other times, families have special stories about how you were named and how you celebrate your birthday. Stories about your grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins and relatives that are passed on and remembered. All these are part of your own heritage, your own family folklore. Collecting family stories is one of many ways to learn and record folklore. Your family folklore also includes shared wisdom, like sayings and proverbs, or material things like jewelry, home decorations, and recipes, to list just a few. Wherever you live, whether it is in a city, a town, suburbs, or on a farm, you will have many opportunities to discover folklore heritage and expressions. How does your community celebrate holidays like Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Easter? Are there parades, special food, songs, or clothing? If your family came to the United States recently, or even generations ago, you could be celebrating other important holidays with neighbors and friends, like Chinese New Year, Kwanzaa, or Passover. On some city streets, grown-ups will sit outside on a summer's day and play board games like dominoes or active games like bowling. In some neighborhoods, store owners include artwork, lettering, statues, or other decorations. All of these count as examples of folklore outside of your home and family. When you write about a family or neighborhood tradition, you are helping kids from many places to understand a little more about the world we live in. When you write these down, you are helping to record and document stories from your own history or community that would otherwise be lost. Your folklore can take many forms. You can collect games, music, or stories. And document where and how you found them and what they mean. You can also gather ideas from doing interviews called oral history. Oral history research is used by scholars, anthropologists, writers, artists, and historians for their work and ideas. In some cultures, such as Native American and West African, all history was passed on and preserved through oral tradition. Each group of people had a griot, or storyteller, an oral historian who tells or sings to family members the history of their ancestors going back many generations. Now it's your turn to be the griot, the folklorist, or writer,